Alrighty, welcome to an Arena Cube breakdown, of course, featuring BK. And so the Arena Cube is on, well, you guessed it, Arena, and it's a lot of fun, but there's maybe some odds and ends you might not have known about if you haven't played maybe the last couple iterations. And we want to go over a lot of the kind of Arena-only cards that you might not know how good they are because they have a lot of text and they're digital only. You might, again, probably haven't encountered them. And talk a little bit about the cube itself. So let's start with some of these arena-only cards because these are kind of a good entryway in. And there's a cycle here. There's 5 collectors. They each collect one of the Moxes. And we found while looking at the list that I guess the Pearl collector's not in.
I don't know. It's possible the list we're looking at is wrong. I haven't seen it in my drafts, so it might legitimately just not be in right now. But yeah, all of these are cheap creatures in one color. And they do something, they have some sort of quest that allows you to get a Mox in a different color. And they're all named after the color of the Mox that they get. So the Emerald Collector gets us the green Mox. And this is just a 2-mana Ophidian. And it's really strong in any blue deck. And then it gets even more busted when you draft it in a deck that has access to green mana.
Because what they all do as well is they have an activated ability of the color of their Mox. So even if you have no way to make green naturally, you could, draw your third card in a turn. And for like this one, for example, then you'd have a Mox Emerald. Then you could use the ability to make it a 4/4. But really the play pattern with this is you just cast it on turn 2, turn 3, you have a green source and they can either block and lose their creature and you tap 3 mana. That's a good deal. Or they don't block and you draw a card. And then if you have a cantrip, you just get a Mox Emerald into your hand.
Yeah, this card's crazy. It's one of the best cards in the cube, and we'll be seeing more cards that have this kind of play pattern. It's really good for this cube.
Ruby Collector is also pretty sick. 1 mana, 1/1. You attack with 3 or more creatures, you get the Ruby, and then you can pay 2 and 1 in a red and give all your creatures +1/+0. So obviously all the abilities work really well together.
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of this kind of like aggro plan when there's so many good mid-range cards in this cube, but this one is a pretty nice one. And, obviously the 2 abilities synergize so well as games go along. And it does work better if you have access to more red mana because while with the Emerald Collector, really you only need to activate red once or green once. With the Ruby Collector, you can keep spamming that ability, so having some actual red lands will be useful.
Of note, too, this doesn't have to attack. So in the late game, you could play this, attack with 3 creatures, get that Ruby right away. Jet Collector is kind of a weird one. It's 1 and a green for a 2/2. And at the beginning of your post-combat main phase, if you have 4 cards in your graveyard or more, you get a Mox Jet. So it's pretty easy in the middle or late game. Doesn't usually happen in the early game, but it also just costs no mana or effort, really. And its off-color ability is X black, put a creature with mana value X from your graveyard onto the battlefield with a finality counter on it as a sorcery, but that's not restricted to once like, kind of the Mox ability. With a lot of mana, Jet Collector can really dominate the late game.
Yeah, this plays so nicely in the green decks because there's lots of cards like fetch lands and cheap removal that can get cards into your graveyard. And then all of this card's abilities just work the turn you play it if you have enough stuff going on. If you have enough stuff in your graveyard, you play this and then go to your second main, you immediately get the Mox Jet. And you could just use that reanimate ability the same turn you play it. And so this all pairs really well with some of the cards like Emerald Collector, Psychic Frog, where it's just, turn 4, turn 5, and you're activating this thing and getting back an impactful card.
I mean, if you look at this with, let's say you have 5 mana in play, but you've filled your graveyard because you've cracked 2 fetches, cast a spell, whatever. Cast Jet Collector, go to your second main, get the Mox Jet, play it, and then get back like a 3 or 4 mana creature. Like, that's just really strong for a 2-drop.
Yeah, super sick card.
And then lastly, because again, the Pearl Collector's not here, Sapphire Collectors, 2 and a red for a 3/3 prowess. And when you cast your second non-creature spell, you get a Mox Sapphire, which then you would just play and trigger prowess again. And you can pay 2 and a blue to give an instant or sorcery in your graveyard flashback until end of turn with equal to its mana cost. So it's kind of like a Snapcaster, but also generates a Sapphire, and it's like a prowess beater. This one I actually haven't played that often, but it's a great card.
It is great. There's a lot of really good cheap red removal spells, so it's quite easy for you to use both of its abilities where you're getting to fire off removals, get that Mox Sapphire, and then flash them back. All of that works super well. The one thing I will say is that you will run into like controlling decks sometimes where your damage removal spells are not live, and then the fact is like, well, it's hard to stack them and they're not that useful to flash back.
Yeah, but this fits really nicely into like a blue-red tempo deck, which is certainly a deck you can draft in this cube. Before we move on past the collectors, because these all give you a bit of an idea of kind of what's going on, let's actually talk about a few features of this cube. One is that there's no like Moxes, Lotus. There's ways to get access to them, as you can see with these cards, and Oracle the Alpha, another card we're going to talk about. But it's not a powered cube. I would not define it as such. And there's not really any busted mana. There's no Mana Vault, Mana Crypt. There's no like channel or flash ways to like get, kind of get a huge cheat on mana. There is Reanimate, but it's not a big core strategy to be doing that.
Yeah, not a lot of cards that are hyper efficient reanimation, no sneak attack. So most of the ways that where you would really abuse like sort of what you think of as a traditional mana curve in terms of how much you can do each turn, a lot of the ways we break that and abuse that in Vintage Cube are gone. And the dynamics of that aren't just, well, you don't do that. The dynamic is, okay, so if my opponent is just sort of playing out a normal curve of Magic, that means I'm going to want things like efficient removal, ways to get 2-for-1s, because it means probably none of your plays are so busted on their own that they can't be dealt with your opponent. And you're going to want to have ways to continue to restock, continue to answer, and present threats.
And part of the reason we mentioned this is there are a lot of the cards that are among the most powerful in Vintage Cube. Swords to Plowshares, Lightning Bolt, Fable the Mirror Breaker, Shield Druid, Psychic Frog. Though Psychic Frog actually might be the literal best card in the cube. I'm not sure. And you might be tricked into thinking it has a lot of the Vintage Cube play patterns, but that's not generally the case. And something like Anasika's Chariot, which goes from being in the bottom half of the cube in Vintage Cube probably, is the kind of thing that's actually pretty good in this cube. It puts a bunch of stuff on the board. It's good against removal. It's a good mid-rangey threat. And you should really just be evaluating the cube in that sense. When it comes to fixing, there's all the fetch lands, and there's the shock lands and the triomes and the surveil lands, as well as some other duels. But overall, it's actually a lot more painful because there's no underground sea. There's just watery grave. And you really do put a premium on getting the shock land of your colors. Like if you're blue-white, Hallowed Fountain's such a high pick because it's the only option for untapped blue and white when you get if you get some fetch lands.
Yeah, and then one of the other cycles that's in the cube is the fast lands, the Blooming Marsh cycle. Well, those come into play tapped in the late game, so it's very easy to build a multicolor mana base where you have access to all of your colors. What is hard is to do so in a way where you aren't taking a lot of damage or having lots of lands come into play tapped. So the thing, we really do value getting some life gain in our decks, and we want to have very efficient removal so that we can make plays like on turn 3, I'm playing a 2-mana removal spell and a tapped land, and so dealing with your play on turn 3 and getting my mana further developed.
I tweeted out a deck a couple days ago. It was the first Arena Cube deck I drafted in this new cube, and I got 9 of the 10 fetches, which, to be honest, I was kind of memeing. The last couple I really shouldn't have taken, but I was trying to get all 10 at that point. And even if you had subbed out those, the mana in that deck was not as good as you might think because there's just not as many untapped lands to get, and it's pretty painful. So, well, the usual case isn't that you have 9 of them. It still holds up that I've had decks, 5-color decks that have good mana, except for the fact that you really do need to get 2 tap lands in order to really solidify your mana. So yeah, trying to find ways to play off curve are really good. Let's take a look at some of the other arena-only cards, and some of these have been in for a while, so if you're an experienced arena cuber, you'll have encountered them. Some of them are on the newer side. Nantuko Slicer is a 2-green Eternal Witness. It's a 3/2, gets a card back from your graveyard to your hand. But if you play the kicker of a black, you also get a card from their graveyard back to your hand. You get a duplicate, and you don't even have to spend that color of mana on it. So it can be a really efficient 2-for-1 or 3-for-1, depending on what's going on.
There's so many ways that this card is abusable because all of the flicker effects, all of the reanimate and regrowth effects allow you to chain off much in the way that you used to with Eternal Witness. And since you're getting to dip into your opponent's graveyard, that's very easy to do. It's generally just hard to draft a green deck in this cube where from all of the green sort of mana fixing cards you might expect to see, and then the whole like fetch triome mana bases, you won't be able to splash the black. And so 4 or 5 mana 3/2 draw 2 good cards. The value when we get later on in the game between draw a good card and draw a card, it starts becoming very big. And this one has a lot of selection because you're dipping into both players' graveyard.
Often what you'll do is you'll cast this with kicker and get back like 1 efficient removal spell and 1 expensive card and just use that to like bridge the gap and then cast your expensive card. Very strong card. This is on the newer side. I only saw this for the first time in my first draft. Is Resourceful Collectors, 1 red green for a 3/3 haste, so already kind of a beater. And at the beginning of your end step, a random non-food permanent card in your graveyard becomes a food perpetually, and gains gains 2, exile this artifact. You gain 3 life, but also you can play that card for as long as it's in your graveyard. So
to clarify, yes, if this goes away, you can still play it.
Yes, and it's just a ridiculous card because if you play this and they don't have a kill spell before you hit your end step, you already just get a permanent back. Like effectively, you get to cast it. In fact, they can't even make you discard it because it's just chilling in your graveyard. And it becomes a food, though that part is like kind of a minor part of the card. It's not nothing, but in general, like just a 3-mana, like compare this to an Eternal Witness. It's a 3-mana, 3/3 haste Eternal Witness, but also it does it every turn. So if they don't kill it, you just keep doing it. It's a really strong card.
And the biggest combo here is fetch lands. A single fetch land in the first couple turns of the game means you are reliably going to have a permanent in your yard that this can get back and turn into a food.
Grenzo, this you might have seen people talk about this card because it's one of the best cards on the cube. Like I did, when we were doing the prep and I said Grenzo was awesome because, well, would you take it or Psychic Frog? It's like, well, sure, I would still take Psychic Frog, but that speaks more to Psychic Frog than Grenzo. Grenzo's 6 mana, 6/4. On ETB, you heist, and heist is you get a random non-land card from their deck, right? Like it's
one
just,
of you get
one of 3. Sorry, yeah.
See 3. You get 1 of 3, and you can spend any color of mana to cast that card.
Yeah.
And your opponent doesn't see what you took. So even better when you hit counter spells, they don't get any.
But Grenzo also says once per turn you can pay 0 rather than pay the mana cost for a spell you don't own. So what happens is you cast this, and it's kind of like a Cascade or a Thundering Carnosaur, except you just play one of 3 non-lands from their deck without paying its cost right away. And Grenzo also heists on upkeep in case that wasn't enough. It would not be necessary for that to be the part of the case for this to be a good card. It's still just a sick card, but the fact is if they can't kill it, they just lose. And often when you cast it, they also just lose. This card is really, really strong.
Very gross. And we're going to take a look at the other heist cards in the cube because they're all real good.
Yeah, the Thieving Haven is a 2 and a blue for a 1/4 when it deals flying. When it deals combat damage to your opponent, you heist them, and then whenever you cast a spell you don't own, this also gets a +1/+1 counter. Note, you have to pay the mana for this one. Grenzo's I think pretty much the only one that makes it free, but still, this is kind of like an Ophidian, right? That's the term for something when it hits them, you draw a card. But it's a 1/4 flyer, is pretty hard to kill, and again, heist, getting that selection just makes it so much better than just drawing a random card. It's not even close.
Yeah, we're used to playing with cards like Sentinel of the Nameless City, and they do nice things in terms of giving you value turn over turn. But this one having 4 toughness, an evasive body, and we're getting our selection of really good cards, there's a lot to like about Thieving Haven.
Impetuous Lootmonger is another one. It's 1 and a red for a 2/2 first strike, and then when it enters the battlefield, you can discard a card to heist them, and when you cast a spell you don't own, you make a treasure. So 2 mana, 2/2 first strike that already lets you rummage into a good card, and it will frequently make you a treasure, sometimes more, but even just the 1 is still enough to make this card a really strong 2-drop.
The value of heist is a lot. It's a lot better than 1 card from your hand, the worst card in your hand.
Heist is not as good as draw 2 cards, I wouldn't imagine, but is better. It's like draw 1.5 cards or something like that. I don't know. Getting your selection of 3 and non-land means you're just not going to miss. When you cast a draw 3 in the late game and you draw a land and 2 spells, it's kind of closer to a draw 2. You're not getting that much value out of the lands at that point.
At the risk of people overrating this, the deck damage does matter some. The games can go long. There can be a lot of trading. And when you heist them once or twice and they just don't have 2 of the better cards in their deck for that sort of mid-range matchup, that matters.
Oh, definitely. I've had a lot of games go near decking, or people are going through all their good cards, especially like an Atroxa deck where you're plucking the best 4 or 5 cards out of the top 10. You do that twice, all of a sudden your deck's not going to have that much. Grave Expectations is a kind of funny one. It's an instant for a black. You get to either heist them or exile up to 3 target cards from opponents' graveyards in game 3. So what's kind of cool about this is it's that incidental life gain you talked about. I really like having a Uro for that same reason. Sometimes against an aggressive draw, or you just get low on life, having a card that you spend 1 mana to gain 3 life, as well as messing with their graveyard is good. And you have the buyout of casting this as like kind of like a super preordain, where you get to, or impulse, I guess, where you get to look at 3 non-lands and get to choose one of them.
a lot of consistency from this card, and every time you get to mess up somebody's reanimation, it's extra sick.
Menagerie Curator is 1 and a green for a 1/3, taps for mana of any color, but only to cast creatures. But whenever you cast a creature that doesn't share a creature type with a creature in your library, you draw a card. So the cool thing about this is it's a mana dork just for creatures, but it's a 1/3 and it adds any color, so that's already like not too bad. But obviously drawing a card and you cast a creature is great. It doesn't even need to use the mana in order to trigger that. You could play this on turn 3, then play a 1-drop and draw a card. And unlike some of the singleton build-arounds, this doesn't overly punish you if you have 3 elves in your deck. It just means those elves won't necessarily draw you cards. You're not restricted to building a deck of all, individual creature types.
There's a lot to keep in mind when you're drafting this card. There's a stats thing that you can click on when you're drafting on Arena that'll show you your creature type breakdown. The first and biggest one is to make sure you don't care about the fact that this itself is a human, because once it's in play for its ability, it's no longer in your deck, obviously. Right. So you can have multiple humans and be fine. The cards in your hand don't count. So yeah, you mentioned the case where you have 3 elves. You have 1 in play, 1 in hand, and 1 in your library. Well, once you've drawn that last one from your library, you'll be fine. You could just play them all and they'll all still work. So it works even more reliably than you might first expect when you have multiples in your starting deck, because it's only looking at your current deck.
And green decks tend to be fairly creature heavy, even in this cube, so the card works out pretty nicely. Captivating Crossroads has been in for a long time, and so it's a land that enters the battlefield, and you choose a color, and it taps for a mana of that color. During the first 3 turns of the game, this enters the battlefield tapped if you are on the play. They have a bunch of cards, I don't know, 5 or 6, maybe 4 or 5 cards that care about player draw. And that's a kind of nice little feature for digital, where when you're on the draw, which is worse, you get a couple of cards that just get a little bit better. Like there's like a 1 in a black, give a creature -3/-3. But if you're on the draw, you gain 3 life, and it just kind of makes up for going second. This is a nice Evolving Wilds, in the first 3 turns if you went first. But if you're on the draw, it's always untapped, and after the first 3 turns of the game, it just doesn't come into play tapped either. So it's just a really strong fixing land.
Yeah, the fact that you're getting this untapped some percentage of the time and later, 100% of the time in longer games, is really nice because it's so uncommon in the cube.
Forsaken Crossroads is similar. This enters the battlefield tapped. You choose a color. You tap, add mana to chosen color. When it enters the battlefield, you scry 1. So it's kind of like a temple. And if you go second, you can choose to forego the scry to just untap this. So it's kind of like max optionality, where if you're on the play, it's always just a temple. If you're on the draw, you either get a temple or an untapped Evolving Wilds type land. I guess it doesn't get a basic out of your deck. And in both cases, it's good because as BK said, you really do run into the fact that even in the late game, your Flooded Strand needs to get a tapped land on turn 5. So having some of the lands that come into play untapped can be really valuable. Agent Rafine's a classic. 1 mana, 1/2. And you pay 2 and tap it, and you draw the top card of their deck. It's a little more complicated. It exiles their top card, and you get a duplicate in your hand, and you don't have to spend the mana. You can spend any color mana to cast it, but it effectively is 1 mana, 1/2 tap, 2-tap, draw the top card of their deck. I mean, a 1-drop that is not only a 1/1, but a 1/2 that also is just 2-tap, draw a card, that'd be pretty good. And this card, basically does that with the ability to maybe deck them or mess with the contents of their deck a little bit.
An extremely obnoxiously strong card in the games where this is the thing that the games are about. It gets under all the counter spells and then just sits there and just draws a bunch of cards.
Yeah, if you, this plus 2 mana counter spells is just such a good combination. You play this on 1, turn 2, you just leave the mana up. You probably want to use this, but if they play something out of counter, you'll counter it. And then Molten Impact is an efficient removal spell. Sorcery, 1 in a red, deal 4 to a creature or planeswalker. And then if excess damage is dealt this way, it kind of saves that damage for you. The next time you cast an instant or sorcery, it deals damage, that excess damage, to any creature or planeswalker an opponent controls. So let's say you kill a 2/2 on turn 2, this will just, boom, say that next time you play an instant or sorcery, any one of their creatures or planeswalkers takes 2 damage.
There's a bunch of removal that look like this in the cube. Your Fanged Flames, Obliterating Bolts, Strangles. This is the best one.
Yeah.
Because that mode of you kill your elf and then I just have a Lightning Bolt for free the next time I cast an instant or sorcery spell is so sick that every time you do that, you get to live that dream. It's just totally game winning. And then some of the times it's going to be messing with your opponent's plays in ways that won't be obvious, but if you see them playing slow and it takes them a while before they do something, it's because of how stressed out they are by this card.
It isn't optional though, so if they have no creatures in play, you are burning it. It does say opponent control, so you never have to hit your own stuff. They figured that out, but it is sometimes you will have the case of like you kill the elf on turn 2, and then they don't play a creature, and you're like, I guess I need to wait on casting my cantrip or what have you. Warzone Duplicator is a pretty strong one. This came around Brothers War. It's a 6 mana 6/6, and when it enters the battlefield, return target creature an opponent controls with power less than Warzone Duplicator's power to its owner's hand. So it can't bounce a 5 power or 6 power creature. It can bounce 5 power or less. If that creature wasn't a token, you get a copy of it in your hand that you can cast by spending any mana, a color of mana, and it has prototype of 3 and a blue as a 3/3. So it just, you play this, it bounces something that's smaller, but this is modular. It can be a 3/3 or a 6/6, and you draw a card after bouncing it. Or you bounce a token, and you don't get the card, but you at least killed their token. So this card is very flexible and powerful. It's a good combination.
You only get the copy if it wasn't a token. Just remember that.
Yeah. So a good card, and certainly worth playing. Saiba Siphoner is a nice one. It's 2 blue for a 2/2 flash. When it enters the battlefield, you return an instant or sorcery from your graveyard to your hand. It also costs 2 less if you have no instant or sorceries in your hand. And there's some ways to mess with that. I had a game once where I had Psychic Frog in my hand, so I just discarded an instant to cast this for 2 mana because that's what I need to do on that turn. And when this dies, you shuffle it into its owner's library. It's actually a way to prevent decking. I've had games where I like play this, get back Wrath of God, cast Wrath of God. This goes back in my deck. I have 5 cards in my deck, and I'm able to use that extra time to win. I've never fully like looped this, but I guess this plus a removal spell, like a Lightning Bolt, you could just keep getting back Bolt, bolting it, getting back Bolt, bolting it, or of course a Sacrifice Outlet. It's probably a little easier.
There are cases where you will cast this in response to your own card draw spell because you have you will probably draw into more instant sorceries, but you don't have them yet.
Forceful Cultivator. I remember Matt and us playing this in one of the constructed open weekends. It's 2 green for a 2/3, and when it enters the battlefield, you search for a basic and put it on the battlefield tapped. But it costs 2 less if there's no lands in your hand. So if you keep a 2-lander with this, and you just really hope you don't draw a land on turn 2.
It's super busted when it works, when it does its thing. 2 mana, 2/3, Rampant Growth. That's an incredible card. So it's well worth it. And, there's plenty of good, expensive cards. You mostly want to have cheap cards. But for the few expensive cards you have, this one is very good at getting you to them.
Biggest downside, I think, is it costs double green. So, be aware of that. But the green decks tend to be pretty heavy green. So that's not like a huge issue. And then Nightclub Bouncer, I very rarely pass this card. It's 2 blue for a 2/3 flash. It returns a non-land permanent your opponent controls to their hand, and it costs 2 more to cast forever. So even if they, like, let's say you go Nightclub Bouncer, bounce your 2-drop, they pay 4 mana to replay it. If you then bounced it or they got it back from their graveyard, it would still cost 2. Like, that's perpetually on the card. And then sometimes you get into the mode when you have like blinks where you've bounced the same thing multiple times and it just becomes uncastable. Plus it hits permanents, not just creatures. This card is quite good, and like I said, it's not a card I tend to pass too often. Wingbane Vantasaur is one I've never actually cast this card, though I've had it cast against me. It's 2 green for a 4/5 reach, and when it enters the battlefield, you either draw a Savage Stomp or a Naturalize just out of the ether. You conjure them. So Savage Stomp, that's the 2 and a green. Your dinosaur your creature fights theirs, right? Mm-hmm. And then you can only pay one. You only have to pay 1 mana if it's a dinosaur, I think.
Right. So this is effectively 5 mana for a 5/6 fighter.
Because it also gets a +1/+1 counter when you cast the spell, and then Naturalize, of course, destroys an artifact or enchantment. So yeah, it's a 2 for 1. It's a 4/5 reach for 4. Like, pretty good card overall. I don't think you should cut this from most green decks.
It's particularly nice for the green decks because they don't get to play with as much removal as some of the other color combinations. So when I'm heavy green, a card like Wingbane Vantasaur does a lot to help me stabilizing.
Key to the Archive is one of my favorite cards in the cube, and this one's been around for a while too. It's a 4 mana artifact, enters the battlefield tapped, and taps for 2 mana in any combination of colors. That's actually pretty rare. Usually cards like this just make the same color. Part of the reason, when it enters the battlefield, you draft a card from its spellbook and then discard a card. And the spellbook is I think 15 cards, something like that. And it's got like Demonic Tutor, Day of Judgment, Lightning Helix, Putrefy, Crow's Grip, Time Warp, Counterspell, Regrowth. I don't know every single card, but I know all those ones at least. Approach of the Second Sun, I think, is actually one of them. I'm not sure. And It basically, and because it's draft, you again look at 3 and choose 1, and the key can help you cast any of them. So this card is just, it's a 4 mana rock, double mana rock, which that is pretty good, though a little vulnerable to removal, but it lets you discard a card to get a much better card in general. I mean, Demonic Tutor can be pretty sick, so can Day of Judgment. One thing that I find a little annoying about this card, when your opponent plays it, you really do need to go look at the Key to the Archives spellbook just to see what they could have, because it's like, oh, they have a Wrath of God, yeah, that, or Day of Judgment, that could be something I need to worry about.
Yeah, when you click on the card, you can scroll through and see the spellbook when it's in play. Very important thing to know when you're playing with or against this card is that it gives you the colors you need to cast whatever you could draft, but this thing could get blown up.
Yes.
You take something like Lightning Helix, you're not a red-white deck, and then this gets blown up, and now you're just out on using that card. So keep that in mind when you're thinking about colors to splash and maybe how bad it would be for you if this got blown up.
Yeah, I've had that happen before. Not pretty. And then, of course, Oracle the Alpha. This is I think one of my favorite designs that they've ever made. Certainly maybe the best digital design. It's 2 and a blue for a 2/3 flying. When it enters the battlefield, you conjure the Power 9. So the 5 Moxes, the Lotus, Time Walk, Ancestral, Time Twister, and you shuffle them into your deck. And then when this attacks, you scry 1. This card isn't actually that good. Just to let you know, like it of course has its moments, and the more card draw you have, the better it is. Because if you can like really look at a lot of cards, you will find that Time Walk or that Lotus or that Ancestral. But for most decks, shuffling 5 Moxen in, that's not even that good. Like you don't really want to draw them most of the time. And when you cast this and have 23 cards in your deck, now all of a sudden you have 32 cards in your deck. You're still not that likely to see any one of those cards. So it's a really fun card. It has its uses, and honestly, I don't pass it very often because I enjoy playing it. But this kind of shows you some of the limits of digital design, or the depths of digital design. You get to do really cool, busted sounding stuff that isn't even necessarily all is that busted. And then we've got Crucius. This one got nerfed at one point. Titan of the Waves. It's a 1 red black for a 3/1. At the beginning of it used to be a 3/3. At the beginning of your end step, you may discard a card. If you do, you A, make a treasure, always, and then you choose ambitious, or expedient. And if you choose ambitious, you get a card of greater mana value than the card discarded. If you choose expedient, you get a lesser mana value. There's a lot of control you have over what you're doing here. I had a game this morning, actually, where I cast Crucius and then discarded a 1 mana card and chose expedient, knowing I would just get a land, because that's what I wanted. Or you can discard a 5 mana card and choose ambitious, and you know you're going to get Sublime Epiphany because it's your only 6-drop. Most of the time, though, you're just like, discard a land to find a non-land, or discard a 2-drop, get something more expensive. It's probably going to be good. I've got, now a treasure to help pay for it.
The ability to loot and get what your deck needs and get a treasure, it's an amazing package. This card is the real deal.
Yeah, even at 1 toughness, still very good. And then Stalwart Realm Warden is like the last card we wanted to look at here. And it's 3 mana for a 2/2 first strike lifelink. And when it enters the battlefield, their next non-creature spell costs 2 more to cast. I had someone ephemerate this and try to lock me out, but I was able to actually kind of get around it with Treasure Cruise, because Treasure Cruise lets you delve to pay for even the additional cost here, which is pretty nice. But still a good card. I mean, 3 mana, 2/2 first strike lifelink that kind of makes them waste 2 mana at some point. And also, they have to pay the 2 mana for this effect to go away. There's no okay, I guess I'll cast this instead. Well, if you want to cast a non-creature, you eventually do have to pay the tax.
Right. Doesn't matter if this thing trades off in combat, it will do the job.
All right. Well, I can't think of no better way than to put this practice into work. Let's hop in a draft, shall we? All right. Let's hop right in here. And, we've got 2 Triomes. We've got an Ajani Nakata Pariah. That card's pretty great. Shove Aside is one of those cards we talked about where you're on the draw. It's a 1 mana sorcery, deals 3 to a creature or planeswalker, but if you went second, it's actually an instant. It has flash. So what are you looking at here? I would be looking at a Ajani or maybe one of the Triomes, but I don't think I'd take a Triome. There's Young Pyromancer, I guess.
Yeah, I think Ajani just does a lot to apply pressure on your opponent in the early game in terms of limiting their attacks and gives you something to work for. There's no Skull Clamp, sorry.
No, it also doesn't mean we necessarily have to be like a beatdown deck. Ajani, I think, is just a good mid-range card. And there's Ocelot Pride. There's Lurrus, there's some action. Lurrus is actually pretty good in this cube. I've drafted Lurrus decks.
That would be fun. I'm sure The YouTube comments would enjoy it if we drafted Loris.
Yeah. What do we got next here? Oh, there's Felia. That's going to be kind of hard not to want to take that, I think. There's also an Inquisition I really like. I really value cheap cards in this because there's just so many good expensive cards like, Overlords and Grave Titans and just like Sublime Epiphany and I don't know. It feels like there's a lot of ways to try to win the game on 5+ mana. So cards that are good on cheap are good. This card's also really busted. It's 3 mana, 3/3. It conjures 7 dwarves into your deck that all now cantrip. And on your upkeep, it's kind of like a Headliner Scarlet. You exile your top card, you can play it this turn. It's a red card too for a Johnny.
Sure is.
Would you take Felia? Would you take Jewel Mine Overseer? I don't think you would take Skyclave.
I think I would take Felia.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking too. BK's just thinking about Luris. Don't lie to us, BK. Oh, now there's a Polluted Delta. Going to be hard not to take out. Here, if this video does nothing else, please take fetches higher. We gotta let people know. I just routinely see 7th pick fetch lands in pack 1. And it's just like, fetch lands are still really good.
Now, if you could Moz over that Polluted Delta, does it affect your opinion knowing it's not legal in Historic Explorer, Traditional Historic, and Traditional Explorer?
Yeah, it must be busted if it's banned in all these formats. There's also a Bank Buster. I mean, we're going to take that. There's Leaf Leap Guide. I haven't played this one. Blue-green 1/1 Vigilance. And then whenever another creature enters, it and this get +1/+1 forever. And you can bounce one of your other creatures. Doesn't seem like a bad card.
No.
But definitely taking Polluted Delta. Oh, man. Thoughtseize? Yeah, we're slamming that one, right? I mean, what else could it possibly be? Like a Thraben Inspector or Benolosh Night Counselor?
I'm not a huge fan of the Benolosh Night Counselor. It's okay.
It's got one of the Wote mechanics. I don't think this made the bottom 20 mechanics of all time, but Enlist is just not a good mechanic.
It's not very fun to say, here's a thing you can do with your creature that can't attack, except you can only do it with the creatures that are not summoning sick.
When you may tap a non-attacking creature you control without summoning sickness. I don't understand how that went in. That's not an arena-only mechanic, by the way. That is just a mechanic. Yeah, I think Thoughtseize is good. I mean, you do have to watch your life total. It's true, but Thoughtseize is very strong, and I think this is a pretty good sign that Luris is on the horizon. Look at this! Look at this!
Multiple fetch lands.
I want to take Scalding Tarn here. I think
I do enjoy the Bloomborough special guest art Elspeth Sun's Champion.
This is true, but I'm sure you're in for Scalding Tarn.
I can't say I am too familiar with what Amara does, but I think it like gives you a bunch of cards. You can right click to scroll through. It gives you a bunch more Convoke cards, and it has Convoke.
Yeah, this is a Scalding Tarn. This gets an island or a mountain card.
Oh, sure.
I think Tarn is better than Foothills because they're both red, which is equal, and blue we have Delta. We don't have anything for green yet. I think we are more likely to want to play blue. And here, well, now Meticulous Archive turns on both of the fetch lands in terms of makes them both into white.
That is a wildly underpowered card to be in a cube.
With this thing?
No, Fountain Port Bell.
Oh, yeah. I'm a little surprised by that. Maybe good in a Luris deck. But I don't think Blade Splicer is like anything too crazy. I did lose a game to Unwanted Remake, unfortunately. But I think
it happens.
We want Meticulous Archive here, I'm sure.
Do enjoy the Felia Blade Splicer combo, but I agree.
Stoneforge Mystic? Oh, I don't know really. What are you supposed to
know?
What are you supposed to be Stoneforging? I mean, there was like the Dragonwing Glider. We had the
cube list. You want to look real quick?
Yeah. All right. Dissection Tools is apparently the answer, but I want to just take Fabled Passage.
I'm in. We're gonna draft some 5-color nonsense. It looks like. Yeah, give me a Crucius.
Yeah, ship the Crucius. This card should probably not be this late. I mean, this card is really good. I also do like Murderous Cut a lot. If Crucius wasn't here, I think that's what I would want to take. We just have 3 fetches already. It's just going to be a 1-mana Swords to Plowshares a lot of the time, but Crucius is very good.
There are Fiend's Tower.
Fiend's Tower came back, which is nice. It's not super necessary with the Meticulous Archive, but it's still probably better than taking a random red removal spell or just red card in general. And I don't really want either of these other lands. Yeah, no, I like it. K-Command. As I wait to get back our busted creatures. There's also Disdainful Stroke. Disdainful Stroke is pretty good.
Disdainful Stroke's nice. Yeah. I think we might want that more.
Yeah, this is less replaceable. There's just not that many good counters in the cube. So having one that's easy to splash.
Mana Drain was in the last iteration, but it was cut due to being too cool.
Yeah, I guess that's it. And currently we don't have any green cards, and our mana base isn't really that touching green, so maybe. Plus, green's the worst color to splash. So unless we get like a pest infestation, decent chance we're just on a 4-color no green. So what do you think here? There's Maze Mine Tome. Don't think we want Dreadnought or Burn Down the House.
I'm not a huge fan of Maze Mine Tome. It's too inefficient. Your mana. You just have so many good things to do with your mana.
Do you like Tidebinder or Ghostfire Slice here?
I like Tidebinder.
All right, I'm in for that. No one else takes fetches, so it's a little worse there. Sleight of Hand? Little cantrip action. There's also Hotly.
I suppose.
I don't really think I want Become Immense or Vran that much.
Yeah, my guess is we'll end up cutting the Sleight of Hand, but if we ended up with some synergies for it, it could get there.
There's Amara, but I don't think that's that strong here. Hall of Storm Giants is kind of nice. We have a lot of blue cards.
Sure.
I don't know how good Anguish Recollection is. We don't want Estrid's Invocation or Confounding Riddle, really.
I don't mind a Confounding Riddle.
All right, fair enough.
It's a counter spell.
Oh, there it is.
So how much would we have to cut? We would have to cut Crucius.
And Tidebinder?
Oh, the people at home are just loving it. They're like, I wanted to see more Luris action. They're going to get it.
That's what they're going to get. I don't care. Also, we could just be Esper. We don't need to play another color here.
Great point.
Oh, it's BK? The golden sidekick? 2-mana, 2/2 flying lifelink, and whenever you gain life, a creature in your hand perpetually gets +X/+X, where X is the amount of life gained. It's also a ruby collector.
I'm pretty into this golden sidekick.
Yeah.
The perpetual sounds so nice
with Luris. Yeah, and Luris gains life too. Did you think about that? All right.
Sometimes I would just want to lie and say I have thought of things I didn't think about.
I think a nice on-color mana leak looks great to me. Selfless Savior might come back. We're the Luris deck.
Captivating Crossroads is one of the best lands.
Yeah, but we're doing so good on mana. We have 2 fetches, a Fabled Passage, and then a tri-land in our 3 colors and an on-color land. I think the No More Lies is going to end up being really good for us.
There's a lot of cards that could wheel. I would want to draft Selfless Savior if we got it.
Yeah. I would love a Selfless Savior. I just... too bad it's a dog. Johnny just doesn't care. It can die, and Johnny doesn't blink an eye. Ooh. How about a Fatal Push? There is Blood Crypt and Magda. There's also Treasure Cruise. Treasure Cruise is pretty nice, but it's not the best with Luris. Luris gives you a good engine for card draw.
I would take Fatal Push because we currently have no cards which get things off the board, and sometimes there's going to be things we want to get off the board.
Yeah, I mean, I wanted Fatal Push to begin with, but just talking through the options. Now there's a Dig Through Time. There's the Grave Expectations. There's a couple Triomes. Blood Chief's Thirst a lot worse than Fatal Push. How do you feel about Dig? I kind of do like it. I
think Grave Expectations
is really good.
Yeah.
I guess the life gain is nice in this kind of deck.
We're also not necessarily going to have cards that are so great to dig for.
That's true.
In a Luris deck.
Our best card is we always draw it. Oh, Grave Expectations with Golden Sidekick. That's pretty sick. +3/+3. I mean, Golden Sidekick is no joke. It can't... Oh, wait, no, it can. This works really well. You put Luris in your hand attack, and now Luris a 5/4. Yeah, that sounds pretty good. It would be nice to find a way to get Luris back. Oh, there we go. There's the Reanimate. That's easy.
Phenomenal.
I mean, I like Shadowy Backstreet, but we already have Archive, not necessary. Don't really want to splash another color, though I do love a Pest Infestation. And then Evolved Sleeper and Homicide Investigator are just fine. Here, Sublime Epiphany for our expensive card quota. Or just take a Seachrome Coast. That's kind of a close one. I feel kind of feeling Seachrome Coast here. I don't know.
Very reasonable.
What do you think?
Yeah, Seachrome Coast.
Sublime Epiphany, I think, has lost a little of a step. Oh, do we want Damnation now?
Absolutely.
Damnation is great.
Floodpit Drowner, way to go.
Yeah. I drafted it once, and then I ended up cutting it. I don't think it's quite there. Oh, Baleful Strix came back. That's the nutters for Luris. All right. Also 2 good lands for us, but, Baleful Strix has just got to be so good. And then Xander's Lounge. Definitely going to take that over Blink of an Eye, unless you have a real strong reason to want Blink.
It would be weird if I did.
Yeah, I agree. We don't actually have a ton of white cards, but no, they're all pretty good ones. We're just Esper, actually. We're pretty mixed here. I mean, this is a nice Luris deck. I'm really glad that we get to treat people to an unexpected delight here. Savior came back. We're slamming that one over Vanishing Verse, I suspect. We have...
Are we?
we don't have a ton of removal, but it is so good with Luris.
It doesn't protect you from exile removal.
It's true.
I would.
You like Vanishing Verse? All right.
Yeah.
All right. Oh, Vanishing Verse. And now the Treasure Cruise. I feel like we would play one of those cards. Though we could have a really good start to Splashing Red, actually. Yeah.
It's tough because...
Plus the Dig came back. Though we could take Magda.
Magda's great.
What do we have? 1, 2...
The biggest reason to take Magda is that we do have a lot of ways to trigger crimes, and it gives us a red card.
And now we can take Savai Triumph, right?
That card's not good.
The Homicide Investigator. I assume you mean not the Savai Triumph.
Correct.
All right, what do we got here? Oh, I was hoping that'd be a Swords to Plowshares. It was just a Mana Tithe. Now it's like probably an Abrade, honestly. Lazav wheels all the time, and we can't cast most of these cards in our Luris deck. In fact, this is one of the least Luris-friendly packs I've seen, though Godless Shrine actually is probably too good to pass up. Godless Shrine as a untapped black-white off of a Polluted Delta.
Getting flashbacks to when you kept putting Lazav into your decks.
Yeah, Lazav, not good. Yeah, I'm in for Godless Shrine unless you really want to braid.
The killing artifacts thing isn't as important as it is in the Vintage Cube on Moto.
It's true.
A lot of nice non-Luris cards in this pack.
Yeah, Lightning Strike isn't actually too bad. I don't think we want Goblin Bar. Oh man, I got just murdered by a Mardu Goblin Barman deck. Forsaken Miner and this. It just...
You
just fireballed them out.
It does let you reset things with Luris.
So disgusting with the Johnny.
I mean, what else are we going to take out of this pack? Consider.
All right.
Restless Spire?
Let's take the Bombardment. I don't think we've seen Forsaken Miner. I'm looking for that. Now we can take a Misty, I assume. And then hope we get Blood Tithe or Mockingbird or Lonely End back.
Or Kitsa.
Or Kitsa, sure. Yeah, all sorts of things. And then now there's a Valky. There's an Inti. Shard Mage's Rescue's not that bad. Savine's Reclamation is really nice in this deck, too. There's also Time Warp, but I don't know about all that. What do you think? Sorin? I mean, there's a lot of cards we could take. 3 steps ahead? I don't know. I feel like Savine's Reclamation is not one most people want.
It's a good chance it'll come back. I don't have a strong opinion on this. Whatever.
There's Valky. Not the biggest Valky fan.
Sorin is kind of funny with the sidekick Luris stuff. But...
Yeah, Sorin. All right. I don't know. Sorin seems kind of nice. And then here, there's a Thalia that we probably don't want. A Glacial Fortress, which is probably decent. Brain Surge. We have a bunch of fetches. Maybe Brain Surge is good. Does seem like spending mana to draw cards isn't something we necessarily need a ton of in our Luris deck.
Could just be Glacial Fortress.
So right now, we're at...
We have 12?
12 lands.
So we're only going to probably have room for like one more non-basic land.
Yeah.
Because we probably want to have a basic for these cards.
Kind of in for Brain Surge. I don't know.
I'm down.
Then now, can't take the Nightclub Bouncer. There's a Raucous Theater, but we have 1 Surveil land already and 3 Triomes, so... Commit Memory is just generally a good card. So is Exclude. I've been pretty impressed with Exclude.
I'm down for Exclude.
And... Oh, Expressive Iteration. Unable to Scream. Hallowed Fountain.
Unable to Scream is pretty funny with Luris.
Yeah, it really is. I'm not sure.
I kind of want Unable to Scream.
Yeah. I don't mind taking another removal spell. We have a bunch of different ways to draw cards. Now there's nowhere to run. I don't think we need Spiral Bluff. Chart of Course could be decent too. Unable to Run doesn't have any other... It's not even actually go to Luris because it's just going to stay on the board.
I think Chart is too slow.
Yeah.
Look.
Would you take Priest?
No.
I guess I'll just take Nowhere to Run. Maybe it'll be good. Lazav came back, but I'm just not that interested in Lazav.
I think if you want to play the red cards, Dragon Skull Summit's pretty nice.
We're going to play, some red cards at this point. And probably
Consider Restless Spire. Restless Spire seems pretty bad to me.
Yeah, all right. And, Blood Tithe I think is going to be really nice here. Kitsa actually with all these cantrips could be sick.
This does seem like a pretty sick Kitsa deck.
Yeah, let's try it. I haven't really gotten Kitsa to go off. Oh, good. I'm pretty glad we picked... I think we want Valky just as a way to finish the game. Like, this deck could use that. Do you like ill-timed explosion, or would you just take a Thalia? This looks like a horrible Thalia
I
deck.
don't mind ill-timed explosion. I don't know if we'll want to play it.
Oh, wow.
Commit, I do want to play.
Yeah, I like commit more. We could pick... The Iron Crag is actually a card we could play, but I don't think that's what we were looking for so much. All right, so now let's put Luris here. Here.
Oh, yeah, my math was way off. So Fabled Passage, so we have one of each basic. How many lands? We can figure out our mana base first. So it's
I mean, right,
17?
this is 17.
Okay, so we just need to cut 4 cards.
Yeah, I assume this is going to be fine at one of each. Seems like it will be. Nowhere to Run is not that strong of a card.
Ophelia, Nowhere to Run is...
Oh, no, that is sick, actually. Never mind. Repeal's always cuttable, I suspect. We could also cut one of the cantrips. We have 2 of them.
Consider seems mostly worse. I don't know.
Well, it is Surveil, so to dump us something in the graveyard for Luris.
I guess that makes it okay with Brain Surge, too. Yeah.
We could also cut the Brain Surge if we wanted to, or Confounding Riddle.
This ill-timed explosion is like draw 2, discard 2, 4 mana Pyroclasm.
Yeah.
That's not anything.
We could also cut Goblin Bombardment, maybe. We only have 8 creatures in our deck. It is really good with a Johnny, but that's...
We probably should cut it.
Yeah. Okay. This looks like a pretty nice little Luris deck.
We lost our basic mountain. Do we care about that? We only have Magda as the only red card. Should we just cut the red?
No. I guess if we just cut Magda, we can also cut Dragon Skull Summit. Do we want...
Sanders Lounge.
Blood Crypt. Yeah, we could... I mean, Sanders Lounge is a blue-black land still, if we want it.
I don't think we need a tap blue-black land. Looks like we have lots of fixing.
We have a tapped black-white land and a blue-black-white land. That's probably fine. Okay, and this is going to make our mana a lot better, actually. Oh, wait, we do have Valky.
Oh, so we need to have some of that. Okay.
What if we just put a Blood Crypt in?
That's reasonable.
I think that would be sufficient, right? Because we have Savai Triumph and Blood Crypt, and like that should be enough. Okay. So do we want Sleight of Hand or Repeal or an 18th land?
I think Repeal deals with some hard problems, but maybe Sleight of Hand.
Yeah, this got interaction. Sleight of Hand, though, is nicer with Kitza.
You can like repeal your own Baleful Strix or Nowhere to Run, stuff like that.
Oh, repealing your Nowhere to Run. All right, this Nowhere to Run is actually kind of cracked. Let's get in there.
Luris.
Yeah. Okay. For round 1 here. Sure. Lead on Rafine's Tower. And then we can try to save the Fabled Passage for this Brain Surge here. Sorin, and then we can just leave mana up on 3, I guess.
Wouldn't be suspicious at all.
With Luris, yeah. Well, we'll see what they do. Hopefully not a Psychic Frog. Oh, that's a lot less bad. Get in there. Boom. And then I guess if they don't play anything, we just Brain Surge, and then we put 2 back and shuffle one of the 2 away. Let's see if this Grixis stuff. I mean, you could also counter like the next 2 spells. What would be annoying is if they had a Mishra's Bauble or some other way to trigger Ledger Shredder, but it's really not the end of the world if that's what happens. This Luris deck came together pretty nicely. I feel like it's got decent amount of removal, card draw. It's got a couple finishers like Valky, for example.
Wow, they want to sit and block.
This guy has this.
Yeah.
What are they going to do? Is Savai Triumph our worst card now? We get to get rid of one of them. I guess we can't even get rid of 2 with Consider. We could upkeep Confounding Riddle, but that doesn't sound very good.
Wouldn't do that.
We could also put back Island, because the first card we put back is the one we're not going to see, and then crack Fabled Passage for Island. We have Savai Triumph in hand. It's a tap land, but it is a red source.
I like that plan.
Okay. Okay. And just attack and then pass, I guess. Yeah. We got No More Lies and Disdainful Stroke up, Confounding Riddle, Consider plus Extort them. I mean, I guess we might cast a counterspell and extort them here. We'll see what they do. I don't mind this spot. I really don't. I mean, I guess we're going to counter it. Do you like using Confounding Riddle or No More Lies here?
I think No More Lies.
And then we don't have to extort here because we're going to cast Consider and extort. Not that it like matters that much. I mean, I guess this actually triggers the Ledger Shredder. Oh, maybe we shouldn't do that. I think I want blue. Yeah, never mind. We should have extorted.
It's okay.
Yeah. Hit and... Could do tap land.
I think taps if I try them. I want to be ready. At some point this game we're going to hit it. The Valky.
Yeah, me too.
We have lots of card draw and things to do with our mana. I don't think we'll need to cycle. That one we should counter.
Okay, this time I'm going to extort.
Smart.
I mean,
That's a good one to reanimate.
Yeah.
We can consider on our turn. Oh,
could also repeal that.
Can you flip Sorin? How much do you need? 3?
You have to gain 3 life.
So you go repeal, extort, consider, extort, flip Sorin.
Yeah, that seems reasonable. So we should start with repeal then.
Right.
Extort, draw a card. Does that change our plans? Probably not, right?
No, still sounds pretty good to flip this. Planeswalkers are powerful.
Because then we also we don't want that. Because then we also get to make a food right away, and then next turn we can crack the food and then use Sorin to nug the, like if they just replay Ledger Shredder, we could just eat the food. Sorin eats the Ledger Shredder and then play our spells. We even have Disdainful Stroke up. So I cast Ledger Shredder, and then they cast Oracle on 4, and then even they didn't do anything on that other turn. Very odd. Okay. Oh, they're just gonna double burn Sorin here.
Well, Sorin's gonna come back with Luris.
Yeah. So we can go Luris, Ajani. Like we could put Luris in the hand, cast Ajani, and leave up Disdainful Stroke.
Sure.
We could also cast Luris and then cast Sorin, but I think leaving up Disdainful Stroke makes sense.
That's not a treasure.
Oh, that's a food. You're right. Well.
Oh, we didn't. Oh, yeah, we have our stroke, not our. Yeah.
Sure. I think we do want that.
I believe it.
Though.
Well, does
this get an untapped land? Oh, it has a good Blood Crypt. Okay. Because we have 2 of our islands in play. Right. You do run out of fetchable lands a lot in these drafts. That is a thing that can happen. Okay, I'm gonna fetch now though. Let's just get a tap Blood Crypt. Lead on this, so they don't draw their card. And they get to block a Johnny and take 2, and then I guess Luris Sorin, right? Or we could just chill. Let's see.
Why don't you archive and see what you can draw?
Maybe if that's our only land, we can do that. All right, well, we don't want to draw that. Could just wait.
I think I'd wait.
Yeah. We're fairly well protected here with Disdainful Stroke, Exclude, Cruelty of Gix. Yeah. That's not one we want to see. I don't think we want to sack the food. That's going to be pretty useful with Sorin. That's nice. Luris. If they kill the Luris, we flip our Johnny. We could flip Sorin right now, but leaving up Exclude sounds pretty good, right?
For sure.
And there's nothing we need to kill, so we're not really getting that much out of it. The main thing we get out of it is it does prevent it from a wrath. But, yeah.
That's a bummer.
Okay, well, Felia, draw.
I think you should blink the food and get a counter.
I think so. All right. Well, hopefully the next thing they play is a creature, or we just...
Wait, you don't get the counter?
Oh, it has to return.
Oh, I didn't realize it had to return. I've never seen it not
If
return.
it entered under your control, yeah. All right, well, we ate a food. Look, sometimes your dog eats your food, and there's nothing you do about it.
Wow, I didn't think of it that way.
Yeah, Julie? Yeah, that is true. All right, well, if this is a creature, we're doing all right. I guess flipping Soren. No, the thing is, leaving up Exclude made sense. I don't know. Also, at some point, we'll just draw Reanimate, and then we have a whole army back. Sapphire Collector. Well, that one I could know where to run. But, I don't know. I kind of want to get my card. No, maybe just...
I think you should not.
Yeah. It's just too likely they play like a Grave Titan or something. What's up?
Okay, so I think the timing there was you on your turn, you know where to run it. If they have a spell in response to get a range with prowess, you still blink it. It's only a 1/1, and then it dies.
Yeah, that makes sense. Because then the Felia would get to attack into it still. Worked out pretty nicely.
It sure did.
What did I say about Grave Titan?
We excluded from our games.
Okay, I'm about to play some Otterball here. And I'm just going to play the Kitsa, I think.
I would.
It's just way too risky not to. All right. If they have another sweeper, that's a thing. If they kill Felia, they're not dead, but Kitsa in play is pretty good. I have 13 cards left. We didn't get the Savine's Reclamation back. That's sad. Grenzo. Okay. Pretty dangerous against Felia, but I guess if they just get a spell, that's fine. It just means they should probably not put a permanent into play. So I guess they want to find a kill spell here.
We could find our damnation.
Yeah.
They found our damnation. All right, well.
All right. At some point, they're also going to draw more lands. Like there. Teferi. All right. So what are they going to do? Draw a card. Did I just kill it now?
Probably.
No real reason not to.
How many cards do they have left in our deck?
We have 19. We have 11. They have 18. Okay. Any reanimates? No.
Reanimate and Valky.
Oh, Valky. Yeah, Valky's a nice one. A little scared of a counterspell. But
They don't seem very blue. Well, I guess they have some blue.
they have Ledger Shredder. Oh, wow. Pretty glad they fired that off there. That can just be way more dangerous.
Wow.
That's one I was hoping to draw too. That's one I think we can just sit on, and then if they ever tap out, we just go for it or whatever.
I agree.
Definitely not running this one into like all their mana and cards in hand.
What's the ward on it? 4?
3.
3.
Okay.
So they're going to have to jump.
Yeah, that seems fine. Grave Expectations. Oh, we should just heist them, right?
I imagine so.
All right, ship it. It would deck us. Well, it would mill out our cards.
Well, you just hold on to it. You should take Breach, and then in like 4 turns you can kill them.
And then hopefully they don't have a pump spell for Aklazotz.
Yeah, hopefully.
All right, well, now two turns actually.
What's in their exile? Okay.
Heist is face up, right?
All right. So they're dead if they
don't have a counter spell.
And they tapped one of their blue.
Yeah.
Oh, their evidence.
Oh, what I can do... Well, no, I don't have enough mana. I was thinking I could attack with the...
That is a lot of mana.
Well...
I mean, if they pass with 3 mana, you should just... Okay, so you should just kill them with Hall of Storm Giants.
Yeah, that's going to be the plan.
It's a shame. Oh, wait, I still had the Golden Sidekick in our deck.
All right.
That was like kind of how games can often go in this format.
Yeah.
They got us with 2 Wraths that game.
Yeah. One ours, one theirs. Classic Luris. So the biggest thing we could have done differently, I'm going to keep this because we'll find white off consider, is flip the Sora in the one turn. That's tough though, because tapping out of Exclude is also like a bit tough. Oh, it's a companion battle.
Lutry's in the cube.
Lutry's really good in this cube, actually. It's way better than it is in Vintage Cube. Like, the games are long enough that Lutry just frequently comes down and copies something. Mbup. Ooh. I kind of want to bin that one.
Do you?
Because then we can unable to scream the birds also.
It's just unable to scream the later things.
All right.
I don't know. I just think Ketsa seems really powerful against a green deck.
You know what we wanted? I guess it does dig us to lands if they don't kill it. If we can copy this, that does not take that much mana.
No, it really doesn't.
Honestly, at 4 mana, we just go unable to scream, cast this, let the both prowesses resolve. I don't know, though. Unable to screaming. If they put... No. That's not what I wanted to have happen at all. Oh, baby. We have a Godless Shrine in our deck. I want to unable to scream the birds.
Okay, that's fine.
And then a Johnny. They just went forest. They have no tap lands in their hand. They have nothing else. Like
yeah, their second land being basic forest with Lutry is pretty strong.
They just drew that one.
Okay.
I can tell you that because... how you feeling about getting a Luris into hand?
It seems like an acceptable risk for me.
We could also Grave Expectations them first, but I kind of want to just get Luris first.
I'd rather see what they did with their turn before I Grave Expectations.
Because like maybe we want a Disenchant if they play like a Key to the Archive or something. I just think there's a good chance they don't have other lands in their hand. Sure.
For shame.
I'm going to nug them. Yeah, this card's good. You're right. This card is quite good. Oh, Lelia?
I think Lelia.
If we hit a... First of all, if we hit a land, I'm just going to... Oh, hold on. We want to cast it with a blue up.
Probably.
And if we hit a land here, it's going to be so sick. Never lucky. But they didn't have another land in hand, so... And then we just play Archive. We're just getting... Ooh.
We want that.
That's
Did you consider playing the Archive first to set up the Lelia?
No, I did not.
Okay. Question boost.
That's fine. We'll take some damage. Just going to smash with Lelia.
Sure.
Not exactly what I'm hoping for. Okay, I just really wanted them to block.
So you could go Luris, have Counterspell up, or you could go Luris Kitsa, or you could go Reanimate, have Counterspells up.
I kind of want to just maybe reanimate. We could reanimate the Questing Beast and just pass. Or Lelia. I guess Lelia is probably still better, huh?
Is it not better to go Luris,
Maybe just,
Counterspell up, then Reanimate Questing Beast if you want to do that?
Let's just go Luris and pass, and then we gave up playing the Kitsa, but we can just counter their next play, and then next turn Reanimate and have 2 counters up if we don't use one. Would you normalize that? I mean, it's obvious we have a counterspell. It's just face up.
Luis is really getting into the trick-or-treat spirit with that question.
Yeah. We actually are recording this on Halloween, and we will be trick-or-treating tonight. BK is going as French fries, and I'm going as a hot dog. Santi's going as a Dunkin' Devil, and Naya's going as an Eevee, the Pokemon. So
what's Gabby going as?
She's going as a basketball to go with Santi's Dunkin' Devil. Well, you love it. Caroline also going as a Dunkin' Devil. Detectives Phoenix.
What? Okay.
I don't know. Seems pretty good to do that.
Why?
Because they would have a 2/4.
Animate Questing Beast attack. Who cares?
And it exiles.
Well, I can't deny that value. Switch to Lelia.
I want to draw some cards.
Fair enough.
Drawing card sounds great. Oh, Golden Sidekick with Aluris. Oh, it's too bad I did the wrong order, but then I have nothing in my hand anyway, so.
Real gift of the Magi situation.
Look, instead of a Questing Beast, I have a 3/3 and a 2/2 flying.
At some
lifelink.
point, wow, yeah. You can't really chump with the birds because of Luris. That's been low-key pretty nice.
Yeah. Also high-key pretty nice. BK just thinks he can come in here and use a bunch of Zoomer slang.
Low-key.
Miglaw's the Maze Crusher. Alright. They have 2 mana up, so they can give it +2/+2.
I would have no moralized it.
No, we couldn't. We used it on the Detective's Phoenix. They're at 5, so they're really at 3, so they have to block. Could attack with the Lelia suit, and we'd hit, and they'd block.
Can we just play Kitsa attack with everything?
Then they block there. Yeah. Yeah, that looks pretty good.
Oh, what is its activated ability? Does it do anything relevant right now?
It gets +2/+2.
Okay, sure.
Which is why I think it's actually decent to attack with. I could have played the land first, but I don't think I have a 5-mana spell I need to play right now. So they could block the Lelia and pump it, but they're probably going to block the Luris. Oh, they're going to block Lelia, and then they're going to trade with the 2/1 and chump Luris, and then I can replay. Oh, I can't replay the Unable to Scream. Not this turn, but. Yeah, this looks pretty good. With a Disdainful Stroke in hand. 3.
Dang, we would have given something +5/+5 if we got anything.
And they have to play something cheap. I mean, I guess 2 cheap things is also their best way to get out of this regardless, but we'll see. So a red-green Lutri deck, huh? Just straight up red-green. I played against a Miglaw's the Maze Crusher deck in Dual Commander today.
How was that?
They beat me. Oh, it was actually kind of sick. I went turn 1 Dragon's Rage Channeler. They went turn 1 Arbor Elf. Turn 2, I attack for 1, play land, go with Mana Leak up. Their turn 2 play was land, Elvish Spirit Guide, Shifting Ceratops, which I couldn't Mana Leak. And then I went Malcolm, put Cloud of the Dominus on it, and they won a really close game based on that. But if I'd been able to Mana Leak their 2-drop, it would have been sick. Cool deck, though.
Yeah.
They're dead, right?
If you want them to be.
I mean, I might as well do this too.
Retains the oil counters through the Unable to Sleep.
Unable to Scream. It can't scream, but it's still extremely oily. All right.
2-0.
Wow, Luris is just such gas. I am more of a dog person, but I make an exception for Luris.
Luris is a good cat.
Yeah. All right. Round 3. Cruise into a 2-0 start here, and Unable to Scream was good that game. This hand looks pretty nice. We are on the draw, but, that's okay. I assume that's going to be good at some point. I don't know. Kind of hard not to be. Green also plays higher cost spells in general. Oh, man, they played around our removal spells.
Our cat deck, though.
Could have left up Disdainful Stroke, but I feel like we have so much removal, there's really no reason to do that. Like, if they go land 4-drop, what's the 4-drop they're going to play that we're, completely hosed by? Key to the Archive would be good. I'm all scared of that card because it's good against me. I guess if they played a Planeswalker that had an ability right now, that would be good, but I had a nice Kaito deck, a blue-black deck. Psychic Frog, Kaito, Baleful Strix, Enduring Curiosity. That's the thing you can do. Ooh.
You're going to miss their land drop?
Well, they assume they have a tap land or something.
You going to
Spell Pierce? But they could have...
Whatever. I think you should hit the Druid.
Yeah, I could also repeal the token.
Well, we'll hold up and do that.
Yeah. No real reason to...
You could attack with your 2-1. They don't have an... Oh, I guess they have an attack. They're going to attack you for 4 now. So they just attack with Paradise Druid.
Would oh, I see, like that. Sure. Yeah, that's fine. We'll leave up Disdainful Stroke. At some point, we're repealing that 4/4, and it's going to be gas. All right. I don't even mind trading 2 for 4, honestly.
It's not that scary because you get to repeal the token at some point.
Like, I know we're going to get... What is this?
Oh, it's not that good. Okay. Like, basically, it's going to make it so it cantrips one of your cards.
So I'm going to repeal... I think I repealed it because I want to cast Repeal.
Right.
They get to see the card, but yeah, okay.
Right. They have a 2/3 flyer. They get to see your hand.
And then when they choose
one...
They
get to see the non-lands. I know you have 3 lands.
And they're going to choose one. And when I cast that card, they draw a card in game 3.
Right.
Sure. They chose the Vanishing Verse, and I drew another. I guess we attack with the cat still. I guess? I don't know. This thing...
So Ajani goes up to how much loyalty when you... So it would make 2 2/1s, and then it would die, and then you'd have an Ajani to buy back?
Yeah, I guess that's actually fine. I don't think I want to attack with the Ajani.
Yeah, my guess was they weren't going to block anyway.
Do we just put Luris into hand here?
I don't think so.
We have our Surveil lands in play already. I guess we just...
probably should just go and get one of your red tap lands, though.
Yeah.
And then just next turn you can pick up Luris and still have up your 2
drops. I guess there's no real rush to get this Luris into hand. Needed. This is where it hurts to not have picked up Dig or Cruise, something like that. Or Sublime Epiphany. Like,
I guess using our Polluted Delta is bad if we draw Brain Surge, but I think it's... We are also thinning our deck of lands.
Thin. This is just a 2/3 flyer. Oh, yeah, we can also just let this thing attack us. I don't really know why they have the thinking mode, because it's like, if my opponent's not doing anything for a while, I kind of assume they're thinking. Or
some people are courteous and get anxiety when they are delaying their opponent's ability to play the game.
Yeah, that's fair. Phantasmal Image.
I don't know what that's going to copy.
Could copy the Thief.
That would make some sense. This is a case where Ill-Timed Explosion would be pretty good, but Damnation will be nice if we can find it.
Copy the Ajani.
They're thinking about it.
Thinking.
Yeah, you don't have thinking because you don't need it.
Oh, I see. You only have it when you have priority?
No, just it's not one of the emotes you've selected for yourself.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
I wonder if they'll double hit.
No, they're just going to...
Hit them both?
Hit them both. I actually don't want to get Savai Triumph. I'm just going to get Blood Crypt. Well, guess attack with my 2/1 again. Yeah. I wish I had a red permanent. I guess I have Valky. I think with Luris coming, it's fine to do this whole thing, but...
I mean, yeah, if they get into this space where they're spending their turns attacking your Ajani down.
Trading's even nicer. All right. Make it 2/1. Put Luris into hand, and I guess play the...
Play what?
Oh, I already played a land.
No cheating.
This is not going great.
Is that a creature line?
Yeah.
That's bad.
Yeah. Yeah, it sure is. What? Okay, they are hitting. That's the first thing I thought they were attacking me. Okay. Exclude is not terrible, but...
I think you play Luris and pass.
Yeah.
I don't think you want to attack with the 2/1. Your clock's not that fast, and the Restless Prairie if it attacks. So a play you could make, I don't think you should probably are going to end up making it, is you could Vanishing Verse the Paradise Druid at some point if you wanted to get back Unable to Scream.
Yeah. Doesn't sound...
I mean, they get to draw a card. It's not the best, but it is an option.
I hope they drew a good creature and I can exclude it this turn. That would be fantastic. Oh, they're not attacking with their parry. I like that. I guess it stops my Lurrus, but really what I hope is they just tap out for a big creature. A cheap removal spell would be bad, but they could have played that last turn. Nice.
All right.
Nice.
Sweet. Oh, okay. I mean, the Restless Parry is annoying.
Huh. I mean,
well,
we can do a Johnny and then plus a Johnny. Oh, no, sorry. It's not. You can't immediately Planeswalker it, whatever. I guess you leave up cycling mana and play Misty Rainforest. I mean, we don't need a Damnation here if we're gaining 3 a turn. I hope they chump with the Paradise Druid. Oh, okay. That is great. All right. This looks pretty good. These Wingbright Thieves haven't been that good because the spells they've chosen are not like these are the only spells they could have chosen. It's not like they made a bad decision. It's just like they're not now. They're attacking with the Prairie.
what?
This does not make a lot
flipping
of
a
sense.
Johnny, they'll hit you to 6. You could put counters to
On
make
my
Lurrus
Lurrus.
bigger.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They've just not gotten their card back out of these Thieves at all. Wait, hold on. I'll go to 5. I think it's okay. Cycle.
Oh.
Yeah, well, at some point that'll be good.
Do you attack with both cats? Or
I mean,
one?
I can just know where to run the land if they animate it.
That's fair.
I mean, they're dead next turn. Lurrus is nice. Oh, I also get to do this.
Ooh. Oh, right, and it's a Phantasmal image.
Yep. I definitely chose the Phantasmal image one because I was thinking about that.
The honesty is so good.
I did choose not to use Reanimate because if we Damnation, I'd like to be able to Reanimate Lurrus, and I don't really think we need to put anything into play here.
Really? I think copying a Wingbane Thief sounds amazing right here.
Well, their hand is clearly not that good.
Well, it wasn't something that was good to have played earlier, but they might get more mana, or I don't know.
I mean, they know about the Disdainful Stroke.
That's fair.
It just seems like if we end up having to cast Damnation,
True.
Get back Lurrus seems like a pretty...
Getting back Lurrus is great.
Yeah, this is working out nicely. Nicely. Jace the Mind Sculptor. I mean...
You can have a card.
And 3 life.
And 3 life.
Pretty sick if they then counter your spell. Look at that. 2 for 1. I will say that Vanishing Verse and Disdainful Stroke are not the ideal cards to be playing with face up. I think I just kill this thing. I mean, a Johnny's ultimate is not nothing.
No. Not even close to nothing.
I guess I had an Unable to Scream in my graveyard, so I could have just cast that, but I assume...
That'll still be good.
Yeah. It just doesn't quite work.
Never does what we want.
I'm just going to buff the cats.
Cats.
Oh. What if I manifest into another cat and then flip the cat? That would have been sick. This thing.
Yeah, I don't think you reanimate.
Yeah. So the -4 is that they sack everything except one of Artifact, Creature, Enchantment, and Planeswalkers. I guess that's not doing a whole lot right now. If they had a red card, I could reanimate it.
Bum, bum, bum.
Yeah, that ought to be pretty good. Yes, Jules. Guess we'll just make an idiot. But yeah, at some point reanimating a red permanent could be pretty sick with the Johnny. Like a Ugin or something. Overlord of the Mistmoors. Wow. Not a bad one, but not this time. Don't even think it actually would have done the trick even. Like
No.
Vanishing Verse and then just grind them out with the Johnny Luris. All right. We don't have any more. The Valky. I was just thinking, like, do we need a little more gas? But maybe a sleight of hand would be good.
Wouldn't be bad.
The repeal's been awesome, so I wouldn't want to cut that. Yeah, we don't really want to cut like a Vanishing Verse or Sorin. I don't see any card that's worse.
The Golden Sidekick hasn't been great, but it's been close to being good. Which is almost as good as being good.
Well, also a 2/2 flying lifelink that you can lure us back is just not that bad.
That's true.
Sometimes people are trying to beat you down. I guess the red-green deck that we played against, I think nominally could beat you down. They just hasn't really done a whole... They didn't really have a draw that lent itself that way. Okay. All right. They go first. All right. Well, I like this hand. Kill their thing, reanimate it. I do wish that we had that Savine's Reclamation. Maybe we should have taken it. I don't remember we took over it. Just another way to get back Luris is nice. They mulliganed. And our draw is towering above them.
Yeah, that's a good one. Really funny.
Stomping Ground. Huh, not a tap land. Kind of want to just play Seachrome. What do you think?
Yeah, it seems pretty valuable to be able to cast Nowhere to Run.
Yeah, and like... Oh.
It was very valuable to cast Nowhere to Run.
No. I just want to make sure that we don't in any way, shape, or form get valued. If I had a fetch land, I could reanimate it. Ooh. Do we want just a Johnny here? Huh.
I don't think so.
No. Let's just go untap land, go, and then we've got...
It's so good to just cast Brain Surge if we don't have to counter anything.
Countering this is nice.
I think I would use the Riddle for
Yeah.
mana efficiency. At some point, we might...
We're going to get a chance to cast Disdainful Stroke. Like, I'm not too worried about that. Oh. I could reanimate the Resource Collector for Fabled Passage. Could also just a Johnny leave up Disdainful Stroke.
Well, the Enduring card is also really sick with a Johnny. You could do that right now.
Oh, yeah, you're right. All right. And yeah, we'll ask them. We'll be the one asking questions here.
I guess that was the thing we should have done first, but it's okay.
But what I thought about it, but I was like, what could we see there that would make us do that?
It's a way to look at it. They're very good at granting haste in their deck.
Yeah.
How many cards are in their yard?
2.
Okay. Does it come back under your control or their control?
Owner's control.
Oh.
Okay, maybe it was a little ambitious to get this thing back.
We saw all the angles.
Maybe Baleful Strix first. Because it's going to get haste too.
Right?
I mean, we do get to attack now. Oh, like we could Valky them.
Yeah, if you Valky them, Valky's 4, you can almost just...
Block-
they can't even block a Johnny. They would have to block...
4, 7...
They're basically dead. Yeah, you should just play Valky. All right, this all worked out.
It worked out pretty well, yeah. All right. Nice little start here. Let's keep on rolling. All right. 4-0 on the play. Ooh, this is a filthy hand.
It's a nice little one. We could go Thoughtseize into Baleful Strix, but I kind of like going Golden Sidekick into Thoughtseize Baleful Strix. Oh, Hired Claw. We can always clean that up with Fatal Push.
I kind of want to just get this out there and hope it sticks.
I agree with that.
Look, if this doesn't work, then we'll... First of all, Blood Crypt worse than Swamp in this game because we have the red source. So, punished. It looks like they're going to kill the sidekick, but I guess I'll trade.
Wait, it's not a trade. What?
If they kill the sidekick, so be it. It looks like they're going to. Oh, exiled? Come on. Should we Thoughtseize Baleful Strix probably?
Probably.
Take 1 million damage, but cleared away for Luris. Maybe we just take the Facebreaker. Because like Lion Sash we can just Fatal Push, I assume.
Right.
And Beza is like not as... I don't know. This seems like the real threat.
Yeah, you could Valky the Beza.
I would like to cast Tybalt, but yes, I think that is true.
Oh, you're not going to be casting Tybalt the way this game's going.
Or will we? So what's their play here? Battery, just block Hired Claw.
That's what I would do.
Yeah, I assume so. Go to 12, then they play Lion Sash. I mean, their Beza doesn't make anything.
No, it'd be pretty reasonable to pick up Luris and Fatal Push. I guess, yeah, that's...
We should just kill Lion Sash now, though, I would assume.
You kind of have to.
Because then next turn we can go Luris Strix, yeah?
So they're going to get to draw a card with Beza.
Well, I guess we just hope they don't have a removal spell for Luris here. Because Luris Strix seems pretty nice. Could also go Kitso Vanishing Verse. But...
I think we're getting the Luris down. You get to start gaining life with Luris if you Vanishing Verse.
Yeah, this looks pretty good.
Oh, that's very nice.
Okay. Wow, we'll be casting Tybalt right on time here, despite what the haters and doubters might say.
That's true. I didn't anticipate. What?
Huh?
I guess if you're killing Baleful Strix, this play could work. Because Luris would eat the Rabbit Battery if attacked. Okay.
Just gonna Vanishing Verse the Beza, I guess.
Which is what I would do.
And probably just hit with Luris. I guess I could hit with both.
Gaining 3.
Yeah. Oh, definitely hitting with
Oh,
Luris.
you meant Baleful Strix. No, yeah, leaving Baleful Strix against a Rabbit Battery sounds appropriate.
Yeah, just play this thing. We could reanimate something, but I kind of don't feel the need to. I don't know. Oh, I guess I could have reanimated the Professional Facebreaker. Oh, maybe that would have been sick. They clearly don't have a way to kill Luris right now. What?
Okay. What's a tough way to do business?
Yeah, it's getting in there. I mean, we had this was our best draw, like that we've had so far, I would say. Oh. And do we want to know
What
where?
was the shock for?
Because I'm gonna cast this, I think,
Oh.
because it gets an extra point of damage off the Kitsa. We're gonna want to kill the Rabbit Battery when it attacks anyway, right?
Sure.
We have Disdainful Stroke up. Tybalt on deck.
Oh, it's Jover.
Wow. Oh, I'm not going to get to Tybalt now?
You
Brutal.
probably should have looted with Kitsa in response. You definitely should have.
Well, then I'm just accepting they'll never get to cast Kitsa. Oh, yeah, baby. I guess we could loot again. Embercleave on that is pretty good, but let's go ahead and loot.
I mean, right now they have... Oh, I see. You can't attack with Luris into that thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you can go Sorin, and then could reanimate Lion Sash and start getting in there.
I think you want to play Valky and extort.
Yeah. I guess we could do that.
I mean, it's bad if you're tapping out. It could be bad to tap out for Disdainful Stroke.
But Lion Sash can get it go over the Spellbinder eventually. There's a lot of permanents in the graveyard. I guess it gives up.
This double strike and trample. They're just going to attack.
Well, then I attack back with a big Lion Sash.
That's fair.
I kind of like it because look, I can.
Wait, hold on. Why don't you just get back Beza and then you'll
The
flip Soren?
Beza is exiled.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
There's nothing else that gains life.
I mean, the Embercleave is actually pretty messed up. They could still just kill us with that flyer.
Yeah, I think the nowhere to run was aggressive.
Yeah, you're
At
right.
some point, what was going to happen was they were going to move Rabbit Battery and Embercleave onto something, and whenever that happened, it was going to be pretty sick. But that's all right. We're still going to win.
Start with Kitsing, I guess. Actually, we might be casting this in 2 turns, technically.
Kitsing first sounds fine.
Oh, yeah. That's sick. Okay.
So you just...
Let's see. I can make this...
You can make that a 5, so you can attack with that and Baleful Strix.
Yeah. I guess there's no reason... No.
You're going to kill it with Soren.
Yeah. I have a lot of permanents here. I'm fine with this block if they... I think their hand's just a land.
I think so, too.
Look, I wouldn't say that played a little fast and loose, but... Yeah. Yeah, might as well extort. Actually, wait, are they
You
dead?
can probably kill him.
Yeah, I mean, they're just dead now, I think. Grave Expectations. Boom.
Let's go.
Clean, efficient, couldn't have been played differently.
It's weird how the Valky didn't come out, the Tybalt.
It almost did, though. It was really close. It would have if it wasn't for the Elite Spellbinder. I would have just cast it for 7. Do you have any argument about that? I didn't think so. Are we going for the clean 7-0 sweep with Luris here after we aggressively took fetch lands and all the other things we talked about in the preamble?
It's important. If we don't win, the video is worthless.
Yeah, that's true. Well, I'm really glad that's not the case in general for my videos.
Does Misty get untapped? So we have to either fetch up a Rafine's Tower or we probably just archive.
Yeah, and then save the fetch. Ooh, milling that with a...
I see where your head's at. Also,
We really want to draw a creature on turn 3 if we can.
well, that seems like a lot given the way that we've constructed our deck.
Well, sure. But it'd be nice to not have to spend mana, is what I'm saying. Dude, is the sidekick gonna die again? The bronze sidekick? Or are they just gonna have to waste their time? Ugh.
Stop.
Come on. What do you think about... We could just put Luris into hand.
So we could have the next few turns be like...
We could Brain Surge, though.
I kind of like Brain Surging. Because you can't Brain Surge into Thoughtseize next turn.
Not to do the thing we want to do, yes. Maybe take 1 hit off of the Bone Crusher. Oh, that's annoying. Alright. We have Vanishing Verse if we can find it. Oh, this is some goods. Huh.
So we're not going to get to draw one of these. I think it's maybe Commit or Confounding Riddle.
I kind of think Confounding Riddle probably.
And then the other one, it doesn't matter. You're just going to fetch.
They get a 1/1. I mean, we could just play Felia here.
Yeah, I would Thoughtseize and Felia.
Yeah. That's probably the play. And get a Rafine's Tower. Oh, geez. I mean, Sky Sovereign seems like a card I don't want to play against.
Well, I guess we have a Baleful Strix to... So their turn is... If we don't take... Yeah, take the Sky Sovereign. Arfelia get losted. They might Shiv and Destroy Devastator.
Then Felia messes that up bad.
Okay.
And we'll take a little damage here. Though I guess the way this was going to curve out, maybe the riddle was better.
You're not going to force the hand. Okay.
I didn't think so. Because now we can just Damnation. You wanted to block there? I guess I didn't really...
So what the way this is going to go is they're going to Damnation. They'll tap out for Jiv and Devastator, and then they'll have Get Lost for our Baleful Strix.
Yeah, no, you're right. That's worse. Could also Felia here. Or... Yeah, I guess it is a little worse if you don't think about your plays ever. I could also Felia and then just Felia the Bone Crusher. That doesn't really accomplish anything. But it leaves a Felia in play. Could also Baleful Strix and put Lurrus into hand. Or, actually, let's go Felia. And then could put Lurrus into hand, play Baleful Strix, put Lurrus into hand. Yeah. We should play this first, though. Oh.
That's helpful.
Oh. No. All right, well, it actually worked out pretty nicely. Sometimes you just run and gun, you know?
Sometimes. Oh, man. You get to use all your mana? Oh, my God.
Did we drew the Consider too? If they play the Sheevan Devastator without knowing what's going to happen here, it's going to be bad times for them. I'm just going to take it, I think. Well, no, blocking sounds pretty good.
Why not Consider before we did this?
Would that change anything?
I don't know.
Veterans.
Oh, that's a good card to know about.
Okay. Ooh, that's probably better than a random card, right?
For sure.
All right. Let's try to tighten up, okay? Let's. Could attack with Felia.
And kill their token.
Yeah.
Sounds alright.
Well, they might not let me. They might just get lost it. I think I'll just trade here.
I'm fine with trading. Ooh, sequencing. Oh boy.
Not the play they really wanted to make.
You don't have right. You should just play Valky. And then you could have commit.
Yeah, that's probably fine. We can also see what they're up to. Oh, nothing? Nothing but lands? All right.
Tradesies.
Yeah, seems fine. Are they going to spend their mana on the Sheevan now, or are they going to do nothing? I think they're going to spend their mana, and we're going to get to commit that thing. Which does still... It kind of sets it back, but this doesn't have trample, so if we just have a Strix out, it's not that big of a deal. Or we could just Damnation it. Oh, they're doing nothing. Commit the wedding announcement?
I don't think...
No.
Just play it slow. If you draw a land...
We could also just cast this in highest.
Yeah.
And then maybe we'll get a card to play here.
Oh, we did.
Yeah, just get this thing.
For sure.
Because now we can go land, put Lurrus into hand, leave up all our stuff.
Oh my gosh, yeah. This is Jover.
What are they going to do?
Concede to the Wandering Emperor.
Yeah, that's fair, I guess. Sure. Feels bad, man.
Feels very bad.
And then I get Luris. And we have our fill.
Map on the Lularis. See what's coming, or do you want? Because
we're not going to leave any counters up anyway. Well, we could also just play like a golden sidekick and start mapping that or something, or just play a Baleful Strix. Velia, not good with Wandering Emperor. Yeah, I guess mapping Aluris is fine. Ooh, we could put that into play. Could keep it on top. I don't know.
It seems nice to bin it so you can map again and hit something.
I mean, we don't need to be piling all the counters on Luris, because if Luris lives, we just win. But I guess making it a 4 power creature is pretty good. Or 4 toughness is good against bolts and stuff. So that kind of makes me want to go... I'm just going to go Golden Sidekick, map that. Because the map might miss and not get a counter, then the Wandering Emperor can... Why can't this? Okay. And then use this to make Luris out of range of a lot of the bolts and whatnot. I mean, also, like, they would have had to have drawn a bunch of good cards for this to be good. All right. That's fine. A little worse than getting Baleful Strix, I guess.
They didn't look... I thought about something like that, but it didn't seem like they were a Wrath deck.
People always just play these cards in their decks, is my...
It's
experience.
fine. I mean, a lot of these cards play well in mid-range decks like Bone Crusher, Giant Wedding Announcement, Sky Sovereign.
The 1 mana 2/1's not as much. Yeah.
No, you don't love to see that one.
We haven't used Reanimate yet. What are their last cards?
You also could Memory, but we're never going to Memory in this spot.
No, I don't think so. I kind of want to start hitting them with this this thing.
Why not?
Hell yeah. I could have made a 2/2, but...
Yeah. They'd be at 11. That's why I would have...
Oh, yeah.
Oh, you got that up still?
Yeah,
okay, You're fine. I couldn't see the last land because of the mic.
Yeah.
Nowhere to run.
Sorry, there's nowhere to run. I mean, I guess if they have a pump spell or something, that's a thing, but...
Dude, you keep bringing up this thing called Combat Tricks. It's 2024.
Yeah, there's some cards. I guess Wandering Emperor is kind of a pump spell, but I guess I have
that one is definitely qualifies as a combat trick.
Oh, 6-0? Clean?
Wow.
And we're going to hardcast Valky in the last round? Little Tybalt?
We have not put Tybalt into play. We've only put... Which one is it on the front? It's Valky on the front side, Tybalt on the back?
Mm-hmm. Business in the front, party in the back.
Tybalt on the streets, Valky in the sheets. Or probably the other way around. Oh.
A little Lutri. All right, well. Triple Island isn't, like, ideal. Ooh.
That's ideal.
That is really nice. All right. What you got?
I think it's probably Enduring Curiosity.
That's what I wanted to take.
So they're going to have Counterspell up on turn 2.
Oh, yeah, now I just play this.
I'm into that.
Counter it. I don't really care. Wrath of God. Knowing about Wrath of God in a Luris deck just makes it not that hard to maneuver, honestly. Like, I guess we don't have any way to get back Thoughtseize. We don't have like a Snapcaster or anything.
It's slightly tempting for them to counterspell there just because they have Lutri Fading Hope, and that's a pretty sick little combo. You Fading Hope back your Lutri to your hand.
Fairy Mastermind. I think I'm going to go play Kitsa and then...
Oh, no. I'm not a fan of that.
You don't think so?
Well, I like using the
Or just lose
the
Loras.
thing that's going to get countered on the turn when they would otherwise activate Fairy Mastermind.
Oh yeah, that's good. Also, this way they leave a counter and we just put Loras in the hand. It's not like they have a way to duress it or anything. Unclear if they can cast Wrath. All right, so now
Intriguing.
we could go Kitsa and pay Extort.
Why do we play a Swamp?
What?
You could easily play 3 blue spells this turn.
Oh. I wasn't planning on doing that, though. I was going to pay the Extort, I think.
All right. That's fair.
Make it look like we're not doing anything else this turn.
That is fair.
Now I think we just pass. There's just no point in casting that. They're just going to activate it and then Wrath or something.
Okay.
And then we can also consider here, too. I guess we should let this draw. And then consider. That seems fine.
Yeah, that's a good draw. We have our white now. Getting by on mono basics this game.
Yeah, it's kind of funny, actually. Our fetch lands aren't going to have too many basics yet. Oh, they don't have white yet. All right. Okay. Huh. Oh. No, reanimating that is a... We figured that out.
You should try to flip Sorin.
Yeah, so what's the best way to do that? I guess...
Unable to scream the Aven.
Well, they're going to counterspell that, right? It's part of the problem.
Oh, I don't know that. I mean, if they counterspell that, you would get to just go Luris and unable to scream it again.
And then they Wrath Loras.
And you reanimate Luris.
Yeah, all right.
I mean, you have to deal with this thing.
So I guess we're not paying the Extort. Yeah, unable to scream has been pretty nice. All right. We could have Johnny here. I guess we could also just attack. Because we're not flipping it at this point.
They don't necessarily have planes for
Wrath, yeah, that's true. Could loot with Kitsa first.
No, please don't do that into a Fairy Mastermind.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point. Maybe just go a Johnny and then pay the Extort. Yeah.
That doesn't sound very good. Why don't
Or
you want
not
to be able to know where to
No,
run
we should
the
not pay
Fairy
the Extort.
Mastermind?
Yeah, we should keep that up. We'll see what they're doing.
I assumed they were going to like Fading Hope Wrath have got us, which is why I didn't want to put more on this board, but we'll see. They could go another way. We don't know. They might not have second planes.
Yeah.
Scary. I mean, they get to scry, or is it surveil or scry on Fading Hope?
Surveil. Or Scry, yeah. Yeah, maybe shouldn't have played a Johnny. I don't know. Doing nothing.
Yeah, they clearly don't have the planes, and now they're like, if I scry here, how likely am I to hit? It's pretty good, but I might want to bounce something at some point.
I guess we can't use Kitsa if they bounce. But they're not going to bounce the Kitsa. That doesn't really make sense. Luris.
Oh.
Okay,
Top.
that does not scare me too much. They could just have a Thieving Haven in their hand.
So now they get to Wrath with...
Counterspell up.
Okay.
Disdainful Stroke. Nice. Okay. Um. Hmm. Could attack with a Johnny.
I think you could attack with everything.
Yeah. I guess we're not flipping Soren this turn.
No.
Are they going to double block something? Or are they... I mean, we'll see. They still have Wrath in hand. I mean, they take 2. I guess we can know where to run the Fairy Mastermind and then maybe use Kitsa or something. We don't have anything to bring back with Luris right now. So if we're going to cast Nowhere to Run, we should do it now.
Yeah, Nowhere to Run plus Brain Surge sounds pretty good.
Yeah. They take 3. Oh, I was supposed to Brain Surge first. Duh. Should have taken one more. Ooh, I kind of don't mind a Tybalt. We could put back Savai Triumph, Meticulous Archive, play Delta for Savai Triumph.
Sure.
And then obviously we would need to draw a land at that point, but... And then pass. No real point using Kitsa now.
Now it's time to pick up Lutri.
Yeah, I guess so. But this combat thing is not really working out that well for them right now. I guess they just couldn't wait a turn on Wrath. But their 2/1s are actually kind of bad blockers.
We kind of know when the Wrath's going to happen. It's going to happen the turn that Overlord is coming back into play.
Yeah. But I just kind of feel like this isn't... I would imagine they want maybe do something else. I guess they could cast a Lutri, but that doesn't seem that appealing either. I think what this game is kind of going to come down to is they Wrath and then we play... they're going to answer Luris, hopefully not with an Exile, and then we can reanimate it. But we'll see.
Might Vanishing Verse that at some point.
And then loot. I think I just discard the land.
I think so.
It'd be really nice to... I mean, these other cards are just too good.
You get 2 more Lux out of the trial land. Well, that's not bad. So what's in your yard right now for Lars?
Nothing.
Okay.
Could just start with Strix, I guess.
Well...
I mean, I guess we could loot. We could attack. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we're maybe giving up a point. Because if we draw a land off of the loot, we would really rather discard Strix and just cast this.
I agree with that.
So in that case, we should attack. I should loot now. Oh. It's probably pretty good. But Baleful Strix might still just be better.
Well, you can get Baleful Strix back with Luris.
Yeah. I could... This is going to 2. So they're going to want a Wrath next turn no matter what, though.
Not necessarily. They can wait another turn. It goes to 1 at the end of their turn, and then it'll be on 1 the following turn, and they can Wrath. Then it'll come in.
Yeah.
They have 2 more turns.
Yeah, they have 2 more turns. I guess we could discard Baleful Strix and just try to set up and just force them to Wrath.
I think so.
Yeah, I mean...
It's also nice if you can fork the repeal. With Kitsa.
Oh, with Kitsa, sure. All right, let's just go this Strix.
They have a 1-mana instant right now?
What the heck? Oh, do they have counter...
Spell Snare. That's, yeah, I mean, that's a way you can use it. It seems like...
You're playing a Luris deck. You're not going to be short on targets for Spell Snare.
You could just let them have the card and then Wrath of God. Okay.
This Does not seem as good as Wrath? I'm confused, I guess. I mean, they can play a Lutri to block, but like, aren't they going to lose? No,
Valky can exile what again?
Let's see, Chrome Coast.
What can Valky exile?
Artifact or creature.
That's what I thought. Okay.
Could repeal one of the flyers. That doesn't seem...
What's in their yard to reanimate? Enduring Curiosity.
Not great into Wrath. Could flip a Johnny maybe with this Luris. Maybe we repeal, because repealing makes Kitsa a 2/3. I mean, yeah, no, I guess that Teferi play makes some sense. Because they have the Lutri to block, which I don't really love. We could just try to draw a land and play Tybalt. We give up an attack with Kitsa. Yeah.
I think that might be your best play. I don't really like your other options that much.
Chrome Coast was kind of bad.
That's good.
All right. That's going to answer the Overlord, I assume.
Right.
Let's just play Baleful Strix then. Oh, could repeal that and then exclude the Lutri attack. No, we're just going to get Wrath then. Could just pass.
Seems like you should just pass.
Yeah. And then I guess...
It's kind of rough to interact with the board when they're decently likely they're going to sweep it.
Could repeal the Luris.
It's so cheap to reanimate it.
Yeah.
I think the Wrath's going to happen here.
I mean, it seems kind of hard for it not to. Oh. Okay. I would like to maybe do some Kitsang. Do we just spend no mana here?
That doesn't sound right.
No, it really doesn't. I think I'm just going to cast Vanishing Verse on the Overlord.
Okay.
And then maybe repeal. They also can activate the Restless Anchorage at this point. Yeah, this is an interesting one. Jesus.
Okay.
Okay. Well, I guess we need to find Damnation, huh?
Seems like it.
I don't know. This has been kind of brutal, but okay. We've drawn a bunch of tap lands, though. Not that.
Do you want to... How many cards are left in your deck?
13.
Do you want to archive?
Yeah, I guess we could archive, look for Damnation. Loot. Guess we're pretty dead, huh?
Seems like it, yeah. No 7-0.
No 7-0. Yeah. It was weird.
I mean, you just didn't have any cards that interacted with Teferi positively was the problem that
Yeah,
game.
when I first played it, I thought, oh, that's not so bad. But then it's like, oh, no, they kind of have a lot of junk to block, you know?
Yes, we had to just attack it down, and we were navigating their Wrath of God and like a bunch of 2-1s in play. So
yeah.
just a lot of stuff to deal with.
Definitely.
Same time.
All right. I feel confident we can get to 7, though. That game could have certainly been played differently. Let's go get a Meticulous Archive.
Not a black land?
We can get a Swamp off Fable Passage.
Wow, that's putting a lot of value on surveilling instead of just getting our colors.
I guess we could just get Savai Triome, actually. Maybe. Nah, we'll get Rafine's Tower. By the time we need to do the thing, we'll have more info. I'm just waiting on the Fabled Passage because it's just going to be untapped in 2 turns. Doesn't really seem like we need to. Oh, that's a good one to unable to scream. Damn, should have surveilled.
I knew you were going to say that.
I don't think we need to get Luris right away. I think just doing this is fine. Because then next turn we can do these two if we need to. They can't play a 4-drop this turn. Now I want to save this for Brain Surge if we can.
I think No More Lies.
Yeah. I guess the No More Lies is
It's slightly awkward if you draw Reanimate, but it's not. But
repeal back. You're unable to scream. This is a really nice answer to this thing.
assuming you don't want to attack, yes.
Yeah. Obviously, at some point. The Tumblewag. Doesn't really seem like there's a reason to let them trigger that.
That's a nice one to repeal.
Yeah, that is a nice one to repeal. Oh. Let's see what they got going on over there. That filthy mitt of theirs.
What? Let's take the Investigator.
Yeah. I guess just pass. We're chilling. Are they going to start making tokens? I guess so. I guess I don't need to sack that.
Do you want to repeal the No Order Run? Probably not. I don't know. They won't play anything into it, and we'll have the mana to do
I can
that
just
in the
repeal
future.
that token or something. Oh. That's pretty good against those pests. And they can't Sky Sovereign.
So now you'll repeal the Sorin.
Oh, when they target it with ossification, yes. And I guess I'll crack my Fabled Passage too, because I can extort them. They could attack into it and then play Sky Sovereign. But then I guess I just count with Sky Sovereign. I guess another Swamp is probably fine here. Given that I have Sorin in play. Well, repeal for 7.
The +5 button.
Yeah. And they get to hit for 1. Get a poison. Land. I guess we just play Sorin.
You should play Laris.
You think so?
Well, if you want to flip Sorin. I mean, it's like...
I guess I could play both.
Right, sorry. That's why I wanted you to play Laris, because of flipping Sorin is probably good.
And then,
you also want to get the game over with.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not like this deck necessarily has...
I like how you sequence the Disguise.
I know, it's to disguise the... So I didn't deny the Extort and make it obvious I have a counter. The Murex.
Gonna be attacking with that Hull in a second.
Mm-hmm. They're gonna get to block with Fanatic is annoying, but...
Well, you'll get back the Unable to Scream.
True enough. Yeah. I guess we're getting in there.
Yeah, you can get your Meticulous Archive. Or you could get the Savai Triumph in case you top deck. But I would guess getting the Meticulous Archive is better.
BK just never wants me to cast Tybalt.
Has worked out that way. Seems like it's unlikely to happen.
They can't attack my Sorin with those idiots.
Your Sorin gains loyalty pretty quickly.
Yeah, I think I just +2 it here.
If you minused it, they would go to 10. But they are probably just going to be bringing back...
Next turn I can minus it for 6, though.
Oh.
That's not too big of a deal, right? Just make it into an O2. Okay. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I guess if we shrink that, attack them. Let's see. One short of like doing kind of all of it. I could shrink their 8/8, attack, and just attack Nissa with both. They're just going to block the 7/7. Nissa goes to 5, and then I shoot Nissa down to 2.
I think you should attack their face.
Well, either way, they're blocking the Hall of the Storm Giants.
I agree.
And so, would I rather deal 3 to put them down to 11? Seems like...
How many forests do they have? I guess the ultimate is pretty real. Maybe you do have to attack Nissa.
Well, this is Toxic 1. It's not...
It deals both.
No, it doesn't deal infect damage. It deals 1 point of poison when it hits.
I understand.
So they can't kill me with a Nissa overrun.
Oh, but I'm saying down the road. I'm saying you might not be able to ignore Nissa.
Yeah, I don't think we should ignore Nissa.
Well, you can't be that far away from killing them.
Oh, can I pay extort also? Actually, I can, can't I? Oh, yeah, that's actually pretty nice.
They're not that far away from you burning them out. Like, if you were to hit them down to 10, make another food, like, they're dead to any spell next turn. If you can sack both foods and extort. Like, they're really close to being dead.
Well, I'm definitely attacking them with the 7/7.
Okay.
The question is, do I want Luris to attack them or the Nissa?
So, aren't they just dead to a spell if you just draw...
They go to 10, and then next turn... Yeah.
Or they're just... No, they're dead on board.
Yeah.
If you just attack and crack 2 foods. And, and use damnation.
Well, okay, I guess they do get to... They could -7 Nissa to kill the Sorin. But then, but then they don't have... It's kind of nice. This Unable to Scream is being sick this game. But then that does take a lot of loyalty off it. They can attack for 12. They have 5 forests in play.
Did you cut it from your vintage cube?
No, it's still there.
Cool.
But,
I mean, obviously, it's really nice with Luris in particular.
I think it's okay. It hasn't been great so far. There's been games where it's been good for sure. Yes.
I find it very satisfying in cubes where like there's bad versions of certain effects and colors that have nothing of that. So it's like, oh, my deck is, and they end up becoming also really great sideboard cards, even if they don't always make your main deck. Okay. Oh, that means they won't. Well, so now we're probably going to be damnationing. Well, I guess you attack with Luris.
Well, they get to block with Gargaroth.
Or if you're unable to scream and extort, that also does it, right?
Yeah, that does it.
Okay.
It gets the Gargaroth. And then I don't need to attack with the... I don't attack with the...
Right. You need the mana.
You hungry over there?
You heard that? My stomach is grumbling. Wants a dub and some Reese's.
All right. Sorin, huh? Closing things out with the Sorin ult? 1 point to spare with this Baleful Strix? Boom.
Let's go.
All right, 7-1, not bad. I would have liked to beat that blue-white player, but this was just a really nice version of a Luris deck. Let's take a look at the deck here just so folks following along at home can see. So what did this deck have? First of all, great mana. 3 fetch lands plus a Fabled Passage is like a pseudo fetch. 2 Triomes. 1 Scryland. Only 1 on color duel. We had to pass Hallowed Fountain at one point. That was kind of a pain, but it still worked out with the Rafine's Tower, of course. And then the Blood Crypt for the splash. Could have used a little more hand disruption. Just had the Thoughtseize and I guess the Valky. A lot of good removal like Fatal Push, Unable to Scream, Damnation, Commit, Vanishing Verse. Good counter spells, that I did like. It had Confounding Riddle, Disdainful Stroke, No More Lies, and then Commit also kind of pushes there. Grave Expectations was awesome. We never really got to see the golden sidekick work, but twice we cast it and they killed it, and if they hadn't killed it, it would have been incredible. So
That's fair.
I don't know. Seems reasonable.
It got hit by exile removal a bunch.
Yeah, repeal was surprisingly good. I was thinking we were going to cut that, but it kept being good. Baleful Strix, of course, is the nuts in Luris decks.
Sorin was way better than I expected.
Way above expectation. Sorin was awesome. Felia was okay. Obviously, it's a great card.
No, but I think like Sorin was. I mean, Kitsa was good too, but it was like it might have been our second best 2-drop after Baleful Strix. Johnny was nice.
Yeah, Johnny was nice. Kitsa never got to clone anything, but it came close.
Unable to Scream obviously overperformed.
Yeah, having Reanimate was great. Just would have liked the Savine's Reclamation as well, but just having that was still pretty good. And Brain Surge was pretty good. Just getting some good card selection. I always like having a Damnation or a Toxic Deluge in these kinds of decks too. All right, that'll do it for today. Hopefully this kind of cube primer plus this draft will give you everything you need to go tackle the Arena Cube. And as always, BK, thanks for hanging out. Boom.
Happy Halloween.
Let's go get some candy. All right, we'll be back tomorrow with another draft. We'll see you then. Bye. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit that like and subscribe button. It helps out the channel and you won't miss a single draft.